Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to practice rounding. Number 1, round these numbers to the nearest 10. So we have 23, 24, 25, 26. 23 to the nearest 10. So that means let's underline the 2 that's in the tens place. We're going to circle the number to the right. That 3 is going to say if we're going to go up or down. Okay, we're going to go down. Since we're going down or rounding down, the 2 stays the same. And the circle number becomes a 0. All right, and let's move on to 24. Round it to the nearest 10. Underline the 2. Circle the 4. The 4 is going to say if you're going to go up or down. And we are going to round down. That means the underlying number, the 2, is going to stay the same, and the 4 becomes a 0. 25 rounded to the nearest 10. Underline the 2 in the tens place, circle the 5 in the ones place. The 5 is going to say if we're going to go up or down. The 5 is a big number, so we're going to go up. That means we need to add 1 to the 2, so the 1 becomes a 3, and the circle number becomes a 0. 26 rounded to the nearest 10. Underline the 2, circle the 6. The 6 is telling us if we're going to go up or down. The 6 is one of our big numbers. It's greater than 5, so we are going to go round up. So that means we need to add 1 to the 2, and the 2 becomes a 3, and the 6 becomes a 0. So 23 rounds down to 20, 24 rounds down to 20, 25 rounds up to 30, and 26 rounds up to 30. Number 2, round these numbers to the nearest 100. So now we're working in the hundreds spot. So the 4 needs to be underlined because they're in the hundreds place. And we're going to circle the number to the right. So that would be the 1, the 9, the 5, and the 4. Okay, 1 is telling me to round down. So that means the 4 is going to stay the same. So our new number is 400 because the 1 becomes a 0 and this 0 becomes a 0. Moving on to 499. The 9 tells me to round up. So that means I'm going to add 1 to the underlying number. So 4 plus 1 is 5. The 9 becomes a 0. And this 9 becomes a 0 for 500. 450. The 5 tells me to round up. So that means the 4 becomes a 5 because I add 1 to it. The 5 in the tens place becomes 0. And the 0 becomes a 0. Alright, 449. The 4 tells me to round down. That means this 4 is going to stay the same. So 4, the 4 becomes a 0. And the 9 becomes a 0. So 410 rounds down to 400. 499 rounds up to 500. 450 rounds up to 500. And 449 rounds down to 400. Number 3. Round 15,738. We have to round it to the nearest 10, the nearest 100, and the nearest 1,000. So let's start to the nearest 10. So I need to underline the tens place, which is a 3, and circle my 8. The 8 tells me to round up, so I'm going to add 1 to the 3. My 1, 5, and 7 stays the same, so I'm going to have 15,000, comma, 700, Add 1 to the 3, that becomes a 4, and the 8 becomes a 0. Okay. Now let's look at rounding 15,738 to the nearest hundred. Now I need to underline the 7 in the hundreds place, and now I'm going to look at the 3 to say if I'm going to go up or down. The 3 is not going to push the 7 up, so we're rounding down. So that means the 7 stays the same. So these numbers, 15,000 stay the same, so I have 15,000. 7, the 3, and the 8 becomes the zeros. Alright, now rounding the same number, 15,738 to the nearest thousand. So now underline the 5, circle the 7. The 7 is telling me to round up, so I'm going to add 1 to the 5. So now that becomes, instead of 15, it's going to be 16. So 16,000. The 7, the 3, and the 8 all become zeros. Okay. Number 7. Round to the nearest thousand. Once again, we're going to underline the 9 in the thousands place. We're going to look at the 8. The 8 is going to tell me if I'm going to round up or down. We're rounding up. Since we're rounding up, I'm going to add 1 to the underlined number. And 1 plus 9, that's 10. So that means I need to carry this 1 over to that 4. Since I carry the 1 over to the 4 becomes a 5, and the 1 stays the same. The 8, the 2, the 5 all become zeros. So 149,825 rounds up to 150,000. Number 9, round to the nearest 10. We have 499,998. Underline the 9 in the tens place. I'm going to look at the 8. The 8 is going to tell me if I'm going to round up or down. The 8, I am rounding up, so I'm going to add 1 to the 10. Sorry, add 1 to the 9, which makes it a 10. Okay, now I'm going to do this backwards. The 8 becomes a 0. 1 plus 9 is 10. Carry the 1 of the 10 to this 9. So now this becomes a 10. Write down a 0. Carry the 1 over from in the tens place. And now we're putting in that 1 in the thousands place. So that's 1 plus 9. That's 10 again. Write the 0. I'm going to regroup my 1 from the 10 to the 10,000s place. 1 plus 9 is 10 again. Put my 0 down here for the 10. Regroup the 1 from the 10 to the 100,000s place. And now that 1 plus 4 is 5. Alright guys, thank you for watching.